Welcome to Between Heaven and Earth, an internet radio talk show where we help you connect spirit and divine guidance. Lisa Kay, your host, brings you shows that can enhance and transform your life with tips and new ideas for more happiness, abundance, and better relationships. Lisa is an expert on intuition and can show you how to strengthen your inner guidance to empower yourself. Each show is positive and uplifting to inspire your day. Her guest speakers are specialists on self-help, positive thinking, spirituality, and conscious living. Be the best that you can be with Between Heaven and Earth, conscious living for your soul.
And angel blessings to everyone. And my name is Lisa Kay. I'm your host and we're on Between Heaven and Earth Radio. And I wanted to let you all know that we've been on the air now the show's been broadcasting for 8 years, and this is our 112th show. So those of you who are into numerology, you can put those numbers together. Oh, that's the number 4. The angel number. Oh my gosh, I didn't even plan that out. So I wanted to shout out to our loyal fans out there, Joan, Terry, Paula, Valerie, and the rest of you. You know who you are. So, hey, it's nice that you're out there, and it's so good to get feedback and know that you're listening. We're expanding to YouTube, and we're also going to be broadcasting back on Blog Talk Radio. We're not leaving, but we're going to do more shows. We're going to stay here as well on OMTimes Radio. And we'll be bringing you some interesting topics, great guests, and help you in your day-to-day life. And I hope that you'll be listening to us whatever you're doing, whether you're on your way to work or you're doing the dishes or the laundry or you name it. And I'd love to hear from you. So send me your questions or your comments, or if there's something you'd like to hear about on the show, you can do that through Facebook. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/Between Heaven and Earth, and leave a comment or send me a message there. Some of the things we may be doing in the future, I was thinking of doing some perhaps product reviews, like review perhaps angel oracle cards or crystals, or where to find the best of, you name it. So that's what we're planning to do in the future. So hang in there with us, stick with us. We've got some great stuff ahead. So our show today is called Get Unstuck and Move Ahead. Do you feel like you're not making progress? Is it like the same old thing over and over again for you? Sometimes you just need to get unstuck so you can move forward. You may know that that feeling of not knowing what to do next, or how to break out of the same old cycle of behavior. Or maybe you're listening to that negative chatter that tells you, quote, you're not enough. Well, through Alex Bratty's book, From Chaos to Clarity, Getting Unstuck and Creating a Life You Love, she gives you the essential quick start guide to getting your life back on track. It is a step-by-step guide for clearing the gunk from your path and getting you to the real life that awaits you. So let me tell you a little bit about Alex. Alex Bratty was a superstar in the public opinion polling field. One of the youngest partners in a prestigious Washington research firm, her job was to listen to people and find out what they think and how they feel. She tuned into their emotional responses to get in touch deeply with their, quote, whys in life. And the irony is that during the 15 years she was rising to the top of her field, she wasn't listening to her own inner voice to discover her true emotions, to pay attention to her deepest desires, and to understand why she was so miserably stuck in her own life. Through tremendous trial and error, she found her way, and now she's giving other people the shortcut so they can do it too. And she's here to talk to us today about her book, From Chaos to Clarity, Getting Unstuck and Creating a Life You Love, the essential quick start guide to getting your life back on track. Welcome, Alex.
Hi, Lisa. It's great to be here.
Oh, I'm so happy you're here. We were having a blast just before the show. So I can't
yes,
wait
we were. We were just shooting the breeze.
I know. The things we can do, just shooting the breeze about mundane things, and we were having so much fun. So I wanted to start off by, could you tell us a little bit about what you mean by getting unstuck, and what is it, how does that apply to a woman or anybody's life?
Well, I think, the feeling that you are stuck, and I think that all of us have it at some point or another in our lives. And I mean, it can show up in different ways, but just to give you some examples, if your life isn't moving in the direction you want it to, and you're not sure how to change that, then you're kind of stuck, right? You're kind of stuck in this rut that you can't get out of. Or if you're living Einstein's definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different
Like
results.
Groundhog Day.
Exactly. I mean, you're kind of stuck right there. And I think, the other way that people experience it is if you have sort of perpetual feelings of, say, frustration, anxiety, regret, just, simply knowing there's got to be more to life than what you're experiencing. And I don't mean that, you have that one day, like we all have our off days, but if you sort of perpetually are feeling those emotions and feeling that kind of frustration about where your life is at, then chances are that you're stuck.
So does, how would somebody then try to go and find out that they need to get unstuck as opposed to, oh, well, it's just one of those down days or, a normal thing?
Yeah, and I think that's the key, right? It's sort of, does it keep showing up? I mean, because I think we all have our off days, or sometimes we have an off week. But if you're moving through life and you're finding that, wow, I have been feeling like this for a while. I mean, it's been
How
weeks,
is
it's
it for
been
you?
months. For me, it was a long, long time. When I started my career, I mean, I had this long 15-year career that, you very nicely mentioned at the top of the show. And when I got into that work, I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was a choice. I wanted to do it. But over time, it started to wear me down. And I think that's kind of the crucial piece here is, getting that self-awareness and recognizing when things are shifting and changing, right? So if you're exhausted all the time, if things are just becoming really difficult, if it's a grind to show up, whether it's for your work, your relationship, whatever, that's a really big signal that something's not quite right.
Did
And that
you
you're
did you
not
not
aligned.
like what you were doing anymore?
Well, it was a little bit of that. It was sort of a combination. So I was working crazy, crazy hours
Right.
all the
So
time.
tell our audience what you did.
Yeah, so I was a partner in a public opinion research firm. So what that means is, all those surveys that you see on TV about, is the country going in the right direction? Is, who are you going to vote for president? All that
That's a big
stuff.
one.
Yeah, especially this year.
Hmm.
I used to write surveys like that and then, analyze them, present them for clients. And I did it both in the political realm, but also in the corporate realm too, where corporations wanted to better understand their customers, their clients, how can they reach them, all that good stuff. So I did a lot of essentially market research, and it took me on the road a lot because I used to conduct focus groups with clients, voters, consumers, where you get a group of people in the room and to ask them a lot of questions, right? So that you can find out what they really think and feel about whatever topic I'm researching. So I was always on the road. I was away from my family. And I really was working these crazy long hours, like 16 to 18 hours a day, very consistently.
Wow.
So there was sort of a fatigue part that
Oh,
came from
yeah.
just the physical element of the whole thing.
What, getting like, yeah, so that you weren't hardly getting much sleep, I would think, as well.
Right. Yes, I was sleep deprived. Sleep deprivation was kind of like my standard operating
Yeah, that's a killer.
procedure. It was kind of like the way
They
I
use
lived.
that as a weapon, sleep.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's not good for us. So there was that element of it. And, but here's the thing, this is where it really kind of all sort of, I realized how stuck I was and how things had to change, because I did realize that it had lost its meaning for me. What had started out as being a pretty interesting career. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I did very well with it. And, I'm incredibly grateful for all that I learned and the people that I met. But over time, it really started to lose its meaning. I was not finding it fulfilling at all. And it became a grind. And so I realized, wow, I am spending all this energy and time doing something that I don't really enjoy anymore. There's something wrong with that picture.
So did you, yeah, when you realize that, then you have to do something. Did you just stop?
No, it took me a long time to make the decision because, when you've been doing something for a really long time, it's a habit. It's
It
built into
is.
what you do.
Right.
And, of course, there are concerns, right? There's always the financial aspect. If I don't do this, what am I going to
Well,
do?
that's a big one. And especially after you've built up, you're making more and more and you're doing really well, then this big question, well, what else could I do and do the same thing? Do I have to start over in the beginning? That's kind of a big question I think a lot of women have, especially if it's not, say, doing a career change, which I'm sure men go through as well, but women often have to think about when they have kids, they want to stop work there. It becomes a huge identity issue, right?
It does. And that's the thing. I mean, over time, our identity gets totally wrapped up in our work and who we are professionally. And you get so used to living like that that walking away from it is very unsettling. Or even not even just like walking away from it completely, but if I'm not doing this, I've been doing this for 15 years, what does life look like? I don't even know what that looks like anymore because I'm so stuck in my rut, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know any other world. So it took a long time for me to really come to terms with it. I mean, I would say it took me about a year and a half to finally make the decision that
Wow.
I was in fact going to resign and leave the
Just to
company.
make the decision. And
hmm And that was, I mean, that was sort of, it wasn't just that I woke up after a year and a half and said, okay, I'm going to do it. It was constantly kind of, self-awareness. I did hire a life coach because I mean, I didn't even know what I was getting into when I hired a life coach. I just thought, well,
well, that's good that you had help.
yeah, I mean, because I just thought, I need some objective perspective. And I don't even really know if a life coach is going to help me or not, but gee, what have I got to lose? I'll try it.
Right.
And
Well, I
so,
think for me, it took me longer than a year and a half to decide. It probably took me, I would say maybe it's 10 years because I was always going to go back to it. But anyway, we're going to
right.
take a break right now, short break, and then we'll come back and I'm going to find out how you did this.
Okay.
Stay with us.
You're listening to OTR FM, part of the IOM radio network.
As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Hi, this is Angela Levesque, host of Entanglement Radio. Join me Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern for inspiring conversations with visionaries in spiritual science and conscious healing. Entanglement Radio, Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern. Transcendent talk for the conscious mind.
Come on down. You're the next listener of the Joe Show's second annual Salute to Game Shows, Price is Right, Uncensored. A two-part series airing on Wednesday, March 9th and Wednesday, March the 16th. We will take you back all the way to September 4th, 1972, the first day Price is Right aired on CBS. The Joe Show speaks with longtime former producer Roger Dobkowitz, $1 Million Spectacular announcer Randy West, and longtime former Price is Right legendary host Bob Barker. So mark down Wednesday, March 9th and Wednesday, March 16th, 9 p.m. Eastern, OMTimes Radio on The Joe Show.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
This is OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
And welcome back. I'm Lisa Kay, and you're listening to Between Heaven and Earth. And we are here today talking to Alex Bratty about her book, and talking about how to get unstuck and how to move forward in your life, especially if you're finding yourself in a place where you realize it's not where you want to be. So, Alex, we were talking about how you were doing it, how it happened in your life, and I was, and I kind of shared a little bit how it took me. You said it took you about a year and a half to decide that you wanted to make a change. It literally took me. Well, I knew I didn't want to do what I was doing at the time, but I figured I'd just take a break, and that I would get back to it or some version of it. But that took I never went back to it. It took 10 years.
Well, that's an indication that you didn't like it, right?
Oh, no, right? And I didn't, well, it was like every time I thought about it, it's like, I can't do that. But I think, as we were saying, your identity is locked up in your work. And it was very hard because, I went to school and I always was going to be a career woman. Thinking, being a stay-at-home mom was very low on the totem pole of priority for me. It was I don't think I'd ever do that. I can't imagine that I would stop working. I did. And looking back on it, I'm very glad that I did. It was the choice that I made. And I realize now it was the best choice, because I needed to be home and to raise my son. But I was also still able to have the time to kind of search and find out, what made my heart sing at the same time. But it did take a long time to get to that point of going, okay, so I guess I'm never going to go back to that again and let go of the identity that I was connected to with it. So how did you handle it? What did you do?
Yeah, it is. It's a tough one. It definitely is. And I think, I mentioned this just before we went to break. I think that one of the big things for me was actually working with a life coach. So I really wasn't sure what I was getting into at the time, but it turned out to be a terrific decision because I started to uncover all this gunk, as it were, that I didn't even know was there, right? I started to discover all these different kind of self-sabotaging beliefs that I had, or limiting beliefs that I had, that I've been walking around with, that I had no clue, right, that were in my subconscious, that were impacting a lot of the, actions and decisions that I was making.
Right? Like what? Well,
I think sometimes, so for example, a lot of us have this innate sense that we're not good enough. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is virtually everybody has that sense at some point in their life. It's a biggie. Mm-hmm. And for me, even though I was at the top of my field, even though I had, great clients, repeat clients, people who loved my work, I still grappled with whether I was good enough professionally, because I was listening to sort of, this negative chatter, this subconscious fear. And when we're living in that place and we are sort of have these subconscious feelings like, I'm not good enough, it's not good enough, are they going to be okay with what this is and, what I'm submitting or whatever. Then we start taking actions from that place, right? We start working those crazy long hours because we want to be available at every hour of the day for our client, right?
Doing better and better and better.
We want to be on our email, right? Because it's always like, oh, but, I got to make sure that I'm available, or I got to make sure I, exceed the deadline. Because you're coming from this place of feeling like you're not good enough just as you are. And so when we're not aware of some of those limiting beliefs or those subconscious thoughts and fears that are going on, it really can impact the choices that you make and the behaviors that you have in your life, and often in an adverse way. And I didn't realize where all of this was coming from, right? There was this need to sort of people please, this need to sort of be the best at everything, at what cost, right? Like all these different sort of needy energies that are wrapped up in this whole idea of I'm not good enough.
Right.
So in working with a coach, I was able to unpack all of that. And I was able to essentially release a lot of that and instead replace it with, new beliefs, liberating beliefs, starting to realize, it's not just about work. I'm good enough just as I am. It's not that my whole life is about this. So, once I realized all of that, right? So I was on this journey of self-discovery, and I was uncovering all these different concepts that I had no clue about. And it's like the genie was out of the bottle. Because once I had this self-awareness, once I understood that, okay, what I think and feel and believe is basically creating my reality outside of me, you can't unlearn that, right? We don't unlearn information. Right. And so when I really looked at it, I thought, wow, I just can't stay where I am. Armed with this new knowledge, armed with this new understanding and self-awareness, I now realize that things have got to change. But
why couldn't you? And now I'm just kind of like going through my head. So do you think you would have not been able to stay because you needed to be the one who's overdoing all the time, and that's what the job required, or what?
No, and actually that's a great question, right? Because the thing is, you can leave a job, but you take yourself with you, right? Just because I would have left it behind doesn't mean that I would have left behind my tendency to work crazy hours and, overachieve and all the rest of it and be in that place, right? That's something that you have to change within yourself. You can change the scenery, but you are the same.
Well, yeah. Oh, totally. That's a good one. Yeah. The whole thing about pushing and overwork. And I do that as well. So how do you not, I think there's an overwhelming feeling of, okay, if I don't do, quote, all that I can, and I don't get the results that I'm looking for, I'm the one that's at fault, right? And so I should have, would have, could have, right? So how do you get beyond that?
Well, fault's a big word. I wouldn't say it's fault, but I would say this: we are all responsible for what happens, because we do create our own realities, right? We do create our lives in the choices that we make, in the thoughts that we have, in the energy that we put out into the world. We are. So if we're sort of in a place where everything sucks, I hate it all, it's just the worst, that's kind of the vibration that you're putting out there. And guess what you experience more of? Things sucking and everything being like horrible,
sort of
right?
Reflected back to you. Yeah.
It is. It absolutely is. And so it really is about owning your own journey and owning what is going on in your life. And I know that that is a bitter pill to swallow, because certainly for me, when I learned that concept, I was horrified, because I just looked at my coach and said, you've got to be kidding me. Like, why would I have created this world I don't even like? That makes no sense to me whatsoever. Like, why would I have created it? But once you get your head around it, it's actually a very empowering thing, because yes, you've always been creating your own life, but you may have been doing it from a place of default, or just like kind of unconsciously, right? Because these things going on in your subconscious are running the show without you being aware of
exactly.
it. And so you're kind of defaulting these situations and where you find yourself. But if you accept the idea that you create your own life, that you create your own experience, you can start today to own that, and you can start today to deliberately create, to be much more aware of, okay, wait a minute, why did I just do that? What on earth was going on in my whatever, subconscious, my mind, whatever, that I just chose to say yes again to a project that I have no time for, and I have no idea how I'll get it done, but I said yes.
So you get back your control.
Yeah, it is. It's about taking back control of your life.
How did you get from that? So now you have that realization. How did you get from there to where you are today? And you're doing some very different things.
Yeah, I am. And that, again, that took a while to figure out, right? And I did a lot of sort of, again, self-reflection in terms of, okay, what do I actually enjoy? What do I actually want to do? Because one thing I discovered, and this is kind of counterintuitive, I think, you can be really good at something and not enjoy it.
Yes.
Just because you're good at something doesn't mean that you actually want to do it.
I wash the dishes really well.
Excuse me. Yes, exactly. So, and the same is true for, our work as well. We can be really skilled at something and everybody just thinks we're the go-to person for it, but
Right.
actually we're not enjoying any of it, right? So I got it very clear on, okay, what do I not want to do? What do I want to do? If I'm basically, I understand now that I'm the captain of the ship. I get to choose. And, long story short, obviously, but that for me really came down to wanting to serve in a way that helped other people navigate this kind of dilemma and this kind of life transition.
Did you go through a personality questionnaire, or was it just sitting there and thinking about it?
I used a variety of different processes, and I have some of these actually in the book from Chaos.
Awesome. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's actually in a couple of the chapters. I should back up a moment. So it's like every chapter there are questions and little processes, but in two of them in particular, there are kind of larger picture processes where it actually helps you get very, very clear in all different aspects of your life of what you want. And here's the trick, right? I will give you the punchline right now.
Mm-hmm.
Start with what you don't want.
Ooh. Oh,
Start
I love
with what
that.
you don't want. Yeah,
because we're pretty clear about that. Usually.
Exactly, right? Because the thing is, when you ask people, well, what do you want? It's a simple question, but it can be really challenging to answer because we don't know anything different from what we're living. We just know that we want it to be different, but we're not necessarily sure what the heck that other version is. But so if you start with, here's what I don't want, and you literally make that list, right? So take an area of your life, let's say it's work, and on the left-hand side, start writing out all the things that you don't want, that you don't like, that you don't want to have in your work situation, and just list them all out. And then take every single one of them and go one by one and say, okay, well, if I don't want that, what is it that I do want? Right? So if I don't want to work 16 to 18 hours a day anymore, what do I want? Well, obviously I want to work fewer hours, but try to be as specific as you can. So do you want to work 6 hours? Do you want to work 8 hours?
I love that. Hey,
and it's such a simple but effective pivoting to help you get that clarity on what you want.
I love that. Start with what you don't like. Well, we're going to go to break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more to Alex. So be right back. Stay with us.
You're listening to OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth Radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
You're listening to OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
And welcome back. I'm Lisa Kay, and you're listening to Between Heaven and Earth Radio. And we are talking to Alex Bratty about how to get unstuck and move forward with your life. And we're at our half-hour mark. So we're going to do some announcements so you can find out how you can connect with Alex. She's awesome as you can tell. And her website is alexbratty.com, alexbratty.com. And she has a few things that she has to offer for you. She will give you a free 20-minute assessment. And so you can find out how you're stuck and how to get out of it. And Alex, why don't you tell us a little bit more about how people can get that assessment?
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. If you just go to my website, as you said, alexbratty.com, there's a contact button, and it'll take you right through to the calendar to book that assessment call. So it's a free 20-minute assessment call. You tell me, where you feel you're stuck or what's holding you back, and I'll share my insights and thoughts on, what you might be missing or what changes you could make to start helping you move forward again.
Nice. So it sounds like when you help people, it's sort of is similar to the life coaching kind of thing, or how would you describe it? How do you help people?
It's, a lot of it is around career and work for sure. And I do a lot of work with entrepreneurs as well. So people who have left their 9-to-5 behind and they're setting up their own business, or they're a new entrepreneur growing their business. Or people who are looking to make career transitions. So a lot of my work is sort of, geared towards what's going on in the professional life. But there is obviously, of course, a whole life coaching piece to it as well, in the sense that, we get in our own way. So even though we think, okay, my issue or the thing that I'm dealing with right now is just confined to my professional life. Yes, but no at the same time, right? Because things are going on inside of us, like I said, in your subconscious, some of your limiting beliefs, like it's all impacting what you're doing in your professional life or some of the choices that you're making there. So I actually do incorporate some of that life coaching into the professional coaching. So that we're not operating in a vacuum, because as human beings, that's not who we are, right? We're not siloed into, I am this professional person here, and then private person here. I mean, yes, sometimes we do act a little bit like that, but I mean, truthfully, we are a holistic being. And so all those different parts of our life, whether it's work, relationships, family, money, whatever, they all interact together. And so it's really important to have that self-awareness so that you are showing up as the best person you can be in all those different aspects of your life.
That sounds great. And where can they get your book, From Chaos to Clarity?
Yeah, the book From Chaos to Clarity, Getting Unstuck and Creating a Life You Love. It's available on Amazon, and it's on there any which way you like it. Paperback, Kindle, and audio.
Oh, audio is really awesome.
Yeah.
I actually heard that audiobooks are on the rise in terms of the market. People want to be that's why I like to do the show. I want to be where people like to, I guess, get their information, and audio is huge.
Yes, it is. I've noticed that too, and I've been seeing that a lot, that audio has really taken off in the book world. Yeah.
Did you narrate your own book, or did you have someone else do it for you?
I have to confess, I did not do it myself.
Oh, that's okay.
It's not me speaking.
Well, you have such a beautiful voice.
Oh, well, thank you. That's so kind. Actually, it was one of those situations where the perfectionist in me wanted to do it, of course. But the sort of practical part of, hey, how long is it going to take you to do that?
Oh, long time.
A long time. Exactly. And sometimes done is better than perfect, right? Done is better than none, because we'd still be waiting on the audio version if we were waiting for me to narrate it. That is the honest truth.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know, right?
So
that's a perfect example of, letting go and being able to move forward. So
exactly.
Well,
so she's a wonderful narrator. She's got a beautiful voice. And so, it's very, she's got a really nice, soothing and engaging voice. So it's very, it's calming and engaging at the same time to listen to. Yeah.
So From Chaos to Clarity, Getting Unstuck and Creating a Life You Love. Go to Amazon, and you can get it in so many different modes. Well, I have a few announcements that I'm going to make, and then we'll get back to talking to Alex. So I wanted to share with everybody, again, what I do is I teach people how to develop their intuition so they can make it happen when they want, on what they want, and get detailed information. And, in the beginning, I wasn't born an intuitive. Well, I guess we're born with intuition, but I wasn't born with a very good intuition. And, I tried to use my intuition. I tried to use it. Well, figuring what I wanted to do, whether I wanted to make a change, and that was part of the beginning of starting to learn how to develop my intuition. And I think we're going to talk more later about that with Alex. But I went through a lot of courses, and I went through reading lots of books. I think I probably, being the type A personality, I went overboard and started doing research. I actually got a PhD, which focuses on intuition in metaphysical sciences. And I'm actually writing a book proposal now for the book that I'm going to get out about developing your intuition. And I talk about how I came up with a technique that actually works so that your intuition is consistent and reliable and gives you lots of information all the time. And I was able to use that when I did readings. I used to do intuitive readings for people, and I was amazed. I became a sold out reader. Now, I never wanted to be an intuitive reader. I just kind of fell into it. Talk about changing careers, and I was shocked that people were demanding readings with me because they were getting some great information. So what I've decided to do is I would rather teach this technique and teach all that I've learned to people like you who are listening, because then you can get the information for yourself. You don't have to come to somebody else to get your messages. You can get them anytime, anywhere you want, and on what you want. And so now I teach this as both a weekend-long course called Developing Your Intuition Level 1, and I also teach it online as an online course. It's the same class. And I help people tell the difference between a real intuitive message and when you're making it up. How to get those messages more consistently, how to control it so you get information on what you want to know, and how to get detailed information, just as I did. And also, we talk a lot about metaphysical energy, how to protect yourself from negative energy, if you're into all that, because there is some connection with this metaphysical side of energy and your intuition. That's how we get information from it. And you can also learn how to do this. You might be able to help others with your intuition. If you want to find out more, you can go to my website at lmk88.com and sign up and get a free ebook with 16 intuition exercises you can do at home. So go to my website, lmk88.com. And I wanted to thank everybody who came out to see me at the Body, Mind, Spirit Expo in North Lake, Chicago. That was an amazing event. And shout out and hello and hey to Paula and Michelle. They were the first ones to sign up for the course, and the rest of the over 100 people who came to hear me talk. I was just so pleased, and you guys are wonderful out there in Chicago. I love Chicago, and thanks to Megan and Marcella at BMSE. So it was a great event. I loved it. And we're back. So I wanted to go back to Alex. Alex, in your book, you talk about, there's chapter 5 says, are we connecting with our ego or our divine self? I thought that would be a nice kind of segue back into your book. Could you tell us a little bit about what the chapter is talking about and why you put it in your book?
Yes, absolutely. And, it's a beautiful tie into what you were just talking about. And I love that you've developed this process that allows people to sort of reliably connect into their intuition. Because this is very similar idea, or it's very, it's in that whole world. So the whole notion that we have these sort of different voices that we listen to. And most of the time we're listening to the negative self chatter. That voice that comes in, right? You have a great idea and that voice comes screaming in and is like, that's stupid. That's ridiculous. You can't do that. Don't be so crazy. Right. And that's your ego. It's your ego talking to you. And it's not a bad thing. It's essentially trying to protect you from fear, from the fear of something happening, right? I mean, it's part of, sort of that reptilian part of our brain, the amygdala, where we fight or flight, right? We see we're like a gazelle in the Serengeti, and we see the lion, and it's like, I gotta,
run away.
So, I gotta run really, really fast. But that part of our brain still works like that, even though life is not generally like that. I mean, most of the decisions that we have, most of the thoughts we have, they're not about life or death, but our ego still acts like that when we want to do something new or different. And it's trying to protect us. It's like, oh, I don't know about that. That's a new thing. I don't know about it. So it's by recognizing that voice for what it is. It's not real. It's trying to protect you, yes, but most of the time, the decision you're making is not some kind of life or death thing, right? So it's being able to quiet that voice so that you can instead listen to the other voice, because you do have another voice. And some people call it their real selves, their true selves, their higher self, divine self. I mean, whatever you want to call it. But that is the part of you that has your higher good at the heart of it, right? And essentially it's sort of a combo of sort of your intuition, what you want in your heart, what you know to be true. But you can't really access it very well when the negative chatter is going on instead, right? It's not a quiet space. And part of the way to recognize the difference between these two voices is that negative chatter, it's loud and it comes in uninvited. And it will just keep running if you don't turn it off, right? If you don't quiet it, if you don't deal with it, it'll just keep going. But our higher self, our true self, that voice, it needs an invitation. It's quiet. You've got to listen for the answers. And it really is up to you to kind of engage it, right? It doesn't come in uninvited. So it's only in that quiet, still space that you can hear that voice, that you can ask those questions and get the answers, the true answers, not the negative self-chat answers, but the true answers about what is best for you. And so that chapter is all about sort of, the concept of those two voices. And then, of course, a process for, being able to quiet that voice, that negative chatter, and being able to tap into your higher self so that you are able to, sort of access that part of you that does have all the answers. That is the part of you that has all the answers.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great. Well, and all of you go out there, you can get the book and go to chapter 5 and learn more about connecting with your divine self. We're going to go to break and then we'll come back.
This is OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Do you want to be a better communicator? Do you want to better connect with the important people in your life? Do you want to enrich your relationships? If so, join me, Matthew Cooper, on the Positive Control System Show every Wednesday evening at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on OMTimes Radio. I'll meet you there.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness in action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
This is OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
getting unstuck and creating a life you love. So, Alex, I wanted to ask you, what did you find is most commonly, and I know we were talking about things that block people. What helped them the most in your experience when you worked with them?
In terms of getting unstuck and getting
Yeah, and getting
unblocked.
unstuck. What seemed to be the aha for people, or was there a common one, or is it different for
I
everybody?
think it's sort of like a 3 steps, I would say. So the first one is you've got to hit the pause button and just accept what is right now. Because when we're in a place that we don't like, we kind of push against us, right? Like we're sort of hating on what's going on. And it's like, ugh, I don't want to be here. Like I need to get out of where I'm at. But actually, that just essentially molds it into place even more. It kind of galvanizes it in place. So we have to just accept where we are right now. And I'm not saying resign yourself to it. No. I'm just saying accept it for what it is right now, because only when you do that can you then start to take steps to change it.
So when you say
right?
accept, what do you mean by that?
So if you're in a situation that you don't like right now and you feel that you're stuck, instead of constantly focusing on the fact that, oh my God, I hate this. I can't, I don't know what to do. I don't know what way to turn. I am just so fed up with this. Life is terrible, right? Like,
So that's filling your mind with thoughts.
it's exactly, it's
So you got to
not,
stop
yes,
those.
it's exactly. It's filling your mind with those thoughts. So you're focusing on even more. And then because you're focusing on it, you're basically locking it into place. So accepting it would look like this, which is, okay, I'm not happy with where I'm at. And you know what? I'm okay with that right now. And the reason you can be okay with that is because you are going to be able to change it, right? Like
So it'll
that's the
happen.
thing.
It's almost like you'll manifest it too. Just having the belief and the knowledge that, okay, this is where we're at, but it's not going to be like this forever.
Exactly.
It will change, and we'll make it happen.
Yeah, it's not permanent. It's not permanent. It's a temporary state. And so it's okay to just accept it and just pause, where you're at. And essentially then, once you've accepted it, now you've kind of taken the step back, right? You've sort of like diffused the tension in the situation. You're in a much calmer place.
And the
So
emotions, I would think too, right? Anger,
exactly.
irritation.
The emotions are starting to even out a little bit.
Yeah.
So the next thing is actually that process that I mentioned earlier, which is starting to just get clarity about what it is that you want, right? So start looking at whatever that area of your life is that's bothering you, make that list of what you don't want, and then start going through it and saying, okay, what do I want? And then a next step to that, like once you have that list of what you want, is look at why you want those things and how you want to feel when you have them. Like actually imagine yourself already having the thing that you want and get really in touch with that emotion. Because at the end of the day, everything we do is about how it makes us feel, right? I mean, yes, we say, okay, I want more money.
Yeah,
Okay,
I was
well, you want
thinking
more
that's
money.
probably the first thing that somebody would write down. I want $1 million.
Yeah, right? But it's like, what? Well, why do you want them? Why do you want more money? Well, because I want to be able to pay for my kids' education. Okay, but why? Well, because I want to feel like I am a great parent and that I'm giving my child an opportunity that perhaps I didn't have. Okay, see, that's a feeling, right? So the money is the means to, sort of getting there. But
Or I
it's
want
the
to get out of
feeling.
debt, because I'm tense and I'm nervous and
Yeah, like I want to feel
bills.
secure. So I want more money so that I feel secure. I feel
Yes.
safe. I feel successful.
Right.
I feel accomplished, right? It's all about how it makes you feel. So when you look at your what you want list, really get in touch with what the feeling is that you're actually pursuing. Because that's actually what you want, is the feeling, right?
Yeah.
And when we're really in touch with that feeling, it helps bring even more clarity to it. And then the third part I would say is, and this is something I work with clients pretty early on, and we've touched on it a little bit, which is pay attention to your thoughts and where you're placing your focus. Because what you say, what you think, what you feel, what you believe inwardly, it all contributes to the outward reality that you are creating. And so when you realize you hold the power to create the life you want, it's precisely because of where you channel your energy and thoughts. So start focusing on those things that you want, not the things you don't want. Focus on the things you do want and how you want to feel, and then start looking at how those can become
So it's
possible.
almost like a mirror. Like in the beginning, you list all the things that you don't want so you can figure out what you do want. And then once you've gone through, the 3 steps that you had at the end, now we know what we do want, focus on that. Sounds like that's what you're saying.
Exactly.
I like that.
And
it's sort of,
yeah.
tied together in a circle.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of like a 3-step thing, process that sort of at least gets that initial, feeling of stuck. It starts to bring movement again, right? I mean, obviously there's more work to be done. There's always more work to be done. We can always be working on ourselves, but that's sort of an initial part of, okay, how do I just start the flow again?
I think what I could imagine for, even myself, that the problem is getting out of the habits. Because, all right, we'll do that today, and then tomorrow we get back into our, got to get up, got to, go to work, make the donuts, and then we start to forget. So what do you suggest that we do to stay on track?
I'm so glad you brought that up, because consistency is crucial in all of this, right? I mean, it just, so if you want to start meditating, like doing it once a week ain't going to have much of an impact. I mean, don't get me wrong, have at it, do it once a week, but it ain't going to have the impact that you want. You got to do it every day. So the way, and of course it is, as you said, it's hard to incorporate new habits. So, I mean, one of the key ways to do that, and there's been a lot of research on this actually, is hook a new habit to an existing established habit.
Oh, I like that. So give us an example.
So an example is if you want to sort of incorporate a daily mindset practice, right? Maybe you create your new beliefs and you want to be able to sort of say them every day, meditate on them every day. Hook that into something else that you do. So for example, if you already do a Bible reading in the morning, you're already in a quiet, still place. Just spend 5 more minutes and add on the belief mindset practice to that.
Oh, perfect.
Right?
I love that.
Or, if you want to read like 10 pages of a really good self-help or personal development book a day. I mean, by the way, that's an awesome habit to do. 10 pages a day of a book. You'll read a lot of books really fast. But if you want to do that, tack it to something else that you do, right? So do you sit down and do you read the newspaper? Do you spend time online? Are you like on your social media while you're watching TV at night? How about reading your book instead, right? Like, or, so either replace things or hook them onto habits that already exist.
I had Eben Pagan has one, which I thought was really good about, and he talked about this in his Wake Up Productive course. And it was about, drinking more water. And he said, so what you do is you take a bottle of water and you place it on your nightstand. So in the morning, it's there and it's easy for you. You can just grab it. And so I've been doing that. It really actually helps. You wake up and you're a little dehydrated, and it's perfect. It's like right in front of you.
And that's, what that is, that's setting yourself up for success, right? And also at the same time removing the barrier. So the barrier there is, there is no water. And I gotta go get water from the fridge
that's too hard.
or wherever. And it is,
or
right?
I'll do it later.
I'll do it later, like everything
and then
else.
Never
I'll
comes.
do it later. But there's like a barrier there, right? Because it's not right beside you. So you're setting yourself up for success. You're recognizing that that's a barrier, and you're saying, okay, how do I work around it? You know what? I put it in place the night before. And actually, I had a client who wanted to start running regularly in the mornings, and he was having such a difficult time incorporating this, but he had to get up anyway to walk his dog. So I said to him, why don't you put on your running clothes to walk your dog? Ooh. Because when you come back in from walking your dog, you're standing there in your running clothes.
Yeah, and you're
what are you going to do now? You're going to take them off and go back to bed? No. Right? So it's like, again, you're like, you're removing a barrier, you're setting yourself up for success.
So how would you go? We got about a minute and a half left, and I don't know if you can squeeze it in, but because it's a big question. How would you go from, say, I don't like my job to I want a different job?
That is a big question.
I know. So in 30 seconds, no, it's 30 words or less.
Yeah. Well, so on that one, if you really feel like you want to do something different,
What are the
you've got to
first steps?
start. Yeah. First step is foundation of getting clarity around what you actually want to do, right? So again, if you need to start with what you don't want, get clear on what you do want. Have that list, be really clear about specifically what you want in a new career or a new job. Then start looking at your skills and your talents, right? And talents are unlearned. Talents are natural ability that you have. They're things you do every day that you don't even realize you're doing them.
Pick the things that you're good at that you like to do, as opposed to things you're good at that you don't like to do.
Yeah. So, and that's another list, right? It's like, so, I mean, you can put down your talents, put down your skills in terms of, education, knowledge, things you've been trained on, things you're really good at. But when you have those, then really look at, as you said, like, what do I actually like to do? Because you may have things on your list, like your skills list, like, I don't want to do that. You've got to be nuts.
And I think that helps people. And I know that gets you closer to getting a different kind of job. I was helping a friend rewrite her resume. She was out of a job for over a year, and I knew she was looking kind of in the wrong area because I knew what she was really good at, what she loved to do, and that was not what she was doing. So finally, out of exasperation, I guess she said, okay, I offered, and I said, I'll help you rewrite your resume. So we re-swizzled it based on things that she likes to do. And long story short, she basically, in a couple of weeks, she got another job.
That's how it works.
For more money.
It was aligned with what she wanted, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, we're at the end of our show. I can't believe it went so fast, Alex.
That was so much fun. Thank you so much for having me on, Lisa.
Thank you for being with us. Thank you. So I'm Lisa Kay, and you've been listening to Between Heaven and Earth, Conscious Living for Your Soul. Come and listen to us next time right here on OMTimes Radio. Angel blessings to everyone. Bye.